Hi everybody, today we are in Wichita. We have some errands that we have to run down where we used to live. We used to live about an hour south of Wichita, and we're going down there. We're also going to go to the Oklahoma City Temple, and so I wanted to stop by here. You can see the Wichita Kansas Temple being constructed. And I was really excited about this. I'll tell you what, on New Year's Day this year, I had no idea that I would be moving to Independence, Missouri a couple months later. Things moved really fast. And so I was looking forward to the Wichita Kansas Temple because where I used to live, our temple district was the Oklahoma City Temple district, and the Oklahoma City Temple was 2.5 hours away. And whenever this is going to be finished, it's only an hour away from where we used to live. So that was really exciting. And I didn't really know if that other house was going to be our forever house or not. It was a small homestead, just kind of a hobby farm. And I'm originally from Utah, and so in Utah, of course, you have easy access to all these temples, just multiple temples. Then we moved to Arizona, which still, you know, we had easy access to temples. I lived in the Phoenix area in the West Valley. And then I was in the Army, and I was stationed in Texas at Fort Hood. I learned recently that they changed the name back to Fort Hood. For a while they renamed it to Fort Cavazos, but thankfully they renamed it to Fort Hood. And there it was a little bit more difficult. It was more like Kansas. I can't remember exactly, but I think that the San Antonio Temple, that was our closest temple, and I think it was like about 2.5 hours away. Although a few years ago they announced a new temple in Austin, and so now that's going to be the closest temple to Fort Hood. But anyway, so yeah, when we moved here, you know, it was just like, oh, okay, well, that's just the reality of living in Kansas. But only having a temple only an hour away, that's really exciting. Now that we've moved to Independence, my closest temple is the Kansas City, Missouri Temple, and that's only 17 minutes away. so it's much better. But I'm still really excited about this Wichita Kansas Temple. It's already looking really good. It's obviously a smaller temple. There aren't a whole lot of members of the church here in Kansas, but I think it's growing. I think a lot of people are moving this way from the western United States because the way that I view it, you have all these people from California, Oregon, Washington moving into the Intermountain states, which is making it expensive to live there, to, you know, buy property, purchase a home. And so a lot of people, including myself, that can't afford those prices have moved to the Midwest. And I personally think that the Lord's hand is in that. Maybe it's time that we start coming back to Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, Illinois. But anyway, so yeah, there's not a whole lot right now. There's not a whole lot of members in Kansas right now, but enough to have a temple. I was actually kind of sad because when we moved here, I looked at the map and I realized that Kansas was one of the only states that still didn't have a temple. And there are still a few that don't. I don't know them all. Like, the ones that come to mind are like Delaware, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. I don't know. Am I getting these right? Let me know. Let me know if I'm missing any. There's still a handful. But yeah, I was really happy when this was announced. The conference in which this temple was announced was a really significant conference for me, because not only did they announce the Wichita Kansas Temple, but they announced the Austin, Texas Temple. I was just saying how that would have been my closest temple in Fort Hood. And then they also announced the Barcelona, Spain temple. And Barcelona is where I served my mission. So all three of those temples announced in the same conference. It was a very good conference for me. But yeah, this temple is coming along really nicely. I don't know if I'm going to try and come here for the dedication. I'll definitely come for the open house, although I won't be able to video inside. I don't think that you're allowed to do that for open houses. But I'll come, I'll video the temple grounds. I'm definitely going to come here and, you know, probably do an endowment session or other things once this is in operation. I remember it taking forever to just find out the location for this temple. There were other temples announced around the same time that already had locations. They already had renderings of what the temple is going to look like. I was getting a little bit frustrated. So it's really satisfying to finally have a location and have it under construction. As soon as I found out what the location was going to be, and I think I found that out like the same day or just a couple days after it was announced, we immediately just drove up here to try and, you know, take a look, get an idea. I was a little bit sad that it wasn't more in like a central location. This is kind of the like northern part of the Wichita area, like northwest, and I thought it was going to be more like in Derby. In fact, I kind of thought it was going to be in Derby, which is one of the suburbs of Wichita. But, you know, the Wichita area isn't really big compared to other cities, and so it's not like it takes too long to, you know, go from one side to the other, so it wasn't too big of a deal. This road over here that the temple's on, Meridian Avenue, it has a bunch of other churches on this street. There's, well, you can't see any right now, but if you drive down that way, there's a couple like large churches, and so this kind of fits in with those other church buildings. But this is so exciting. I love Kansas. I love Wichita. It's so nice to be able to come back here today, and this is going to be the first time that I see our homestead since we've sold it. I'm kind of curious to see what the property looks like now that somebody else owns it. But we've made a lot of friends here. It's here that I fell in love with the Midwest. I never really thought that I would. I always thought that I was just a Utah person, and I am. And then when we moved to Arizona, I was like, no, I'm definitely a desert person, like a southwest, like southern Utah, Arizona, like that kind of desert person. And I am. But moving to the Midwest, I love it here too. I love all these places. I think every single place is unique and there's something to love. There is a special feel to the Midwest, especially being around all these church sites up in the Kansas City area. But you know, if you're feeling prompted to move to the Midwest, Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, whatever, well, my opinion is that that's a good move. I think that you'll like it. It definitely feels different here, but it's cozy. It feels like home, and it just feels peaceful. You know, I love the countryside, so I can tell you that. But anyway, that's gonna be it for this one. I'll talk to you guys later.